Welcome and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this evening's webinar, which is the third installment in our 7-part series on how to improve your child's reading. Tonight's session is proudly brought to you by kibooks.online, the awesome new digital online reading platform for children, and in association with EduBlocks, our partner, and the leaders in specialized reading and math services. If you've missed the first sessions, don't worry, you'll find it on our webinar link at www.qualibooks.co.za. Simply click on the 2022 webinars tab and access it from there. Tonight's session and all future sessions will also be recorded. Tonight, we're having a look at sight words and high frequency words and how these lead up to fluency. To understand what they read, children must be able to read fluently, whether they are reading aloud or silently. My name is Chris de Beer, and I'll be your host throughout the series, and I really look forward to hearing from our experts and what they have to share with us tonight. Their keen insights and wealth of information and knowledge is sure to be of great benefit to you. They will offer practical solutions in how you can help improve the overall reading and comprehension abilities of your child. Before we kick off tonight's proceedings, a few general announcements. As mentioned, each session is being recorded and will be made available from our website. After tonight, the remaining 4 sessions will be brought to you on the first Thursday of each month until August, same time, same place. Visit the website at www.qualibooks.co.za and click on the 2022 webinars link for more information and to diarize the dates in advance. It will be well worth your while. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay up to date with everything we're currently busy with. And during the sessions, we will also be posting the links to the chat box, so keep an eye on the chat box. Tonight, there's also going to be a brief panel discussion different to our previous sessions, and after our first guest speakers' presentations, so feel free to post any of your comments and questions relating to the presentations in the chat box. And during the session, and with time allowing thereafter, the panelists will strive to answer all your questions. As always, there's also going to be some takeaways up for grabs at the end. These are on offer exclusively to you as tonight's webinar participants. Thank you for participating and being part of our webinar. Details of this will be made available at the end of the session, so be sure to stay with us throughout. Tonight's panelists will be making use of the digital reading platform for children, kibooks.online, to highlight some of the content from their presentations. And before we begin, we'd like to share with you a brief video introduction to the world of kibooks.online, and we'll play that for you in a moment. Well, that was very crisp, and we trust you enjoyed this little intro. The video certainly doesn't do justice to the full extent of what this platform is all about, but we hope your interest has been piqued just enough to explore a little bit more. Our mandate with kibooks.online is to help develop a reading culture amongst our children. That's why we're all here tonight. Kibooks.online was created with a unique vision. Rather than following a formula and creating something in accordance with a mechanically followed rule or style, we wanted to turn a traditional model on its head and create a digital reading platform that is exciting, original, creative, and captive. The platform is not a library as such. Instead, it offers unlimited access to thousands of top quality books, which are bright, colorful, interesting, with compelling content to be accessed and enjoyed anywhere and at any time. Therefore, children no longer need to rely on limited access within the context of their school environment. It means they can have 24-hour access in the comfort of their own home, at a friend's place, the local library, or even better, when they're away on holiday. Let's get them reading. The platform also caters to all 11 South African languages, and it is data free. For more on this, visit www.kibooks.online and explore our world of books by clicking on the demo login button, or watch the full video tutorial for more detail, or simply email us at info@qualibooks.co.za for more information. This information is also going to be posted into the chat box. Now that we've highlighted Kibooks as a tool, you need the skill sets to use it optimally. Together with our resident expert, Monique van Heerden from EduBlocks, we will be exploring essential components relating to sight words and high frequency words and how these lead up to fluency. I'd like now to introduce you to tonight's guest speaker, Dr. Deborah Smith, a specialist in education, training, and development. She holds a doctoral degree in education, a PhD in curriculum design and development, focusing on 21st century skills and developing curricula for scholastic as well as corporate environments. She has a master's degree in educational guidance and counseling, and a few more degrees to go with those. As mentioned earlier, after Deborah's presentation, Monique will be joining her for a brief panel discussion around the content that she's about to share. With time allowing, they will incorporate any questions you've posed during the talk. I'd now like to welcome you. Deborah Smith. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about reading, and reading is a process in progress. So we as adults or teachers have to come alongside the children to help them with this process of learning how to read and write. So tonight we're going to talk about high frequency words versus sight words and see what the difference are and how these components can address and assist us in teaching the reading. So from my side, a warm welcome to this webinar, and I hope you will find this helpful and that you will be able to assist your children in your classroom, because that's ultimately why we are here. So reading is not natural. Reading, no one of us are born natural readers. It's a skill that needs to be acquired, similar to that of playing a piano or teaching, learning to play guitar or dance lessons. It's something that needs to be practiced, it needs to be taught, and it needs to be integrated fully. Now, the biggest mystery of all is reading. Reading is such a complex process, and one of the great mysteries to challenge all researchers is to how people learn to read and comprehend text rapidly and with ease. You know, between reading a word, the sentence, and the compilation of comprehension, it's a 600th seconds. That is, it's just a split second between reading and understanding. And in that 600th of a second, there's so many processes that are going on internally that it is overwhelming for us to try to understand. So that's why we are trying to explain to ourselves and therefore trying to help the children then on how do the children then learn to read? And one of these strategies that we can use are high frequency words and their sight words. So a skilled reader can look at thousands of words and immediately recognize their meanings without any effort. But guess what? Not all of the children in our classes are skilled readers, not yet. And then my other question is, when are you a skilled reader? By what age will you actually say that you have achieved, you are now a skilled reader, or you have accomplished your comprehension skills on the top level? None of us. It depends on the text that you're reading. It depends on the vocabulary. It depends on how much background knowledge you have on that specific subject. So remember, now these children are little. They are still in the beginning phases of this reading process, and we have to come alongside. That's what I'm saying. We have to come alongside them and help them in this process. Now, I just want to ask you, try to read this for me quickly. I'm just going to give you 20 seconds. Now, these are words that we are all familiar with, but the font is different. So I just wanted to demonstrate to you the way that the children have to stop. They have to decode a word and create meaning from that specific word. And that is exactly how they are reading. They read a word or two, and then they have to stop. They have to decode and see how your comprehension has to be built up and how much time it is taken to read these words fluently then. And that's why high frequency words are so important in reading fluency and ultimately reading comprehension. So what is high frequency words then? I've noticed that the research sometimes use these two, either high frequency words or sight words interchangeably. But in my opinion, it's two different terminologies. The one, high frequency words are words that are often used in text across different texts, across subjects, whereas sight words are words that are often used but in a specific subject. And we'll get to that just now. Did you know that with 200 and 250 words, you can read between 60 and 75% of any reading text? And I will demonstrate that to you right now. Examples of high frequency words is, it, more, some, things. Those are words that we use across the texts. Okay, so example, I'm going to give you this. Marketers of books want to know more about education as they care about children and also because they want to make lots of money selling their books. This is just an example of a text that we as an adult that we will read in an article in a newspaper. And I got this from Matt May's Graded Readers presentation on YouTube. It's an excellent webinar that you can have a look at. But I just want to demonstrate you within this text. Look at how many words are high frequency words. All those that are highlighted in red are high frequency words. So if you further analyze this text, then only these three words are difficult words that the child needs to stop and decode and comprehend and make a new meaning to these specific words. Which leaves us then with all these words as high frequency words. Of, books, want, know, more, about. So these are words that they have to rapidly identify, they have to understand the context, they have to understand they need to build meaning of, around these words and build their fluency, the reading fluency that will help them with the reading comprehension at the end. So what is sight words then? Sight words are words that are often encountered and that is subject related. Like I said, for example, a word in math would be parameters, or in English, it would be an adjective. So it's also rapid identification and it's an automatic recognition of words without decoding with comprehension. So it means that they have to see it, they have to understand, recognize it, and they need to understand the words that's in front of them. So if they see the word parameter, we want them to understand that specific terminology without stopping and trying to decode we don't want to go there. They need to understand that word. And it's usually the words in the glossary or the subject related words that you want them to understand, and the new words in the subject, this becomes their sight words. So, and these contribute to the fluency. It helps them to understand the bigger text. Why? They don't need to stop and try to decode the word. And then as soon as they have to stop and decode the word, then there is a chance that the reading comprehension might fall behind. So how can you then help these children with the high frequency words? Well, I brought these two products along tonight. This is flashcards. You can use flashcards very effectively. It's where you print out the flashcards and you can use high frequency word lists. One is the Dolch words and the other one is the prize list. So these people, the researchers went and analyzed the text that the children are reading per grade, and they very notoriously listed all these high frequency words that occur throughout the foundation phase, throughout grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and it's available online, or you can make flashcards. I made flashcards from these words. You can use it from grade R, grade 1. I don't use grades, I use levels, because sometimes when the children are in grade 2 or grade 3 and they are having difficulties with these high frequency words, and you tell them that's a grade 1 or grade 2 level, you will mess up the affective domain. And you don't want, because reading starts with the emotion. Reading is first of almost an emotional process of I can read, I like reading, and as soon as they feel they can't do it, then there's a resistance to reading, and that's not what we want. So I call it set 1, set 2, set 3, and I have a set for nouns as well, for high frequency nouns. And then what you can do is you can print it out. You can either print it out on A4 poster or bigger, where you can use in the classroom, show them the word. You want them to see the word. Now what I usually do is I show them the word. I ask them, can you spell the word? And they have to say the and then you have to hear that there's a silent E, And then I want to ask him to close your eyes. Can you see the word? Then I repeat the word again. Open your eyes again. Is this the word that you saw? Because that is how you are training the inner voice and metacognitive skills on a very informal and simple way, using the flashcards. And then when it becomes easy and you've drilled it in, you can just show and flash and they say, and flash and they say. And then those that they have difficulty with, you put apart and you just use it again. Other game that you can use, I call it bombs and balloons. It's similar to snakes and ladders. And I used all the high frequency words from the Dolch list. And it's similar to snakes and ladders. Except that when you throw the die, they have to read each and every word. And if they can't read the word, then they will forsake their turn, and the other one can carry on. But it's you can only present this bombs and balloons game once you have already taught the skills or already taught that for high frequency words. Remember, you can never expect from a child to test them on a specific thing if you haven't taught it to them. You have to teach it to them. You have to instruct them. I always say you have to train the inner voice so that they can help themselves when they're busy with these high frequency words. So I just quickly want to mention, I'm going to give you a free gift tonight. I just want to talk to it quickly. It is a story card that is used to stimulate reading comprehension. Now, reading comprehension lies very close to my heart. If there is no meaning, there is no reading. Very important. Without meaning, there is no reading at all, even if they can read fluently. And these cards have been designed to stimulate the 4 processes identified by Pearls and a few other cognitive models. But you have to get this child involved in the text, and then only you can ask questions at the end. If you want to teach reading comprehension strategies by using comprehension tests at the end, you're missing the whole point. You are setting them up for failure. You want these children to become, the text must come alive to them. They have to construct the meaning as they are reading. And these cards will help them to structure the knowledge and to structure these concepts and identify the characters and all the things that they have to do whilst reading for comprehension. So I'm going to give 3 cards away, but there is a set that you can purchase later on if you'd like this. But this, I just wanted to explain to you what the free gift is all about at the end of the session. So what I offer is I do teacher training at schools. I mentor and coach teachers and parents. And then I also have a book, a roadmap to reading, where I teach, I show you what are the processes in teaching a child. I even have matric teachers using this book with great success. Monique, I think, oh yeah, there's my contact details. It's www.deborah-smith.net. My Facebook page is Leesleer Presteer, Read, Learn, Perform. And then there's my email address is drdeborahjs@gmail.com. So Monique, we are going to chat quickly about these books that we have identified on KeyBooks and show you how we can use these high frequency words in any book that you have in front of you, and identifies a few strategies and demonstrate that to you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. That was a very insightful presentation. And I get so excited when you talk about all of these components, because it so resonates to what we are doing at EduBlocks as well. What I would love to talk about is the practical application of what you've just explained to us, because I know that we've got a lot of teachers joining us today. So what you're saying makes sense and they know exactly where to get started. But we also have parents here who sometimes feel that they are thrown into the deep end. So what I've done is I've shared my screen. I just want to make sure, do you see my screen on that side, Debbie?
Yes, I can.
Right. This is this wonderful KeyBooks Resource Center, the online library with all the books that we can use in our classes and also at home. So what I want to do, Debbie, is I'm going to choose a book here. My gran is a fibber. I want to show the participants tonight the beautiful books. Oh, and you can hear it makes a lot of noise when you page. Our littlies love those noises, but luckily, Mom and Dad, we can switch off the sound. Maybe so if we look at this book, which is obviously geared for foundation phase, would you please chat us through how parents can take this book and start introducing high frequency words and sight words to their children?
Yes, thanks, Monique. This is an excellent book as an example for the foundation phase. Usually the foundation phase learners of the books are, the authors are so nice, they actually identify the high frequency words for you. So it's important before you even start introducing the book to them to take them through the high frequency words. Why? And I will show you just a bit later how often these high frequency, that's why their name is high frequency words that are used often. So if you can take them through these high frequency words, even before they start reading the book, you will see how they actually perform better in reading the specific text. So I'm not going to go into the phonics right now, but I do want to show you, this is the third row on this page, there in the middle, it says off to the, no, go, I, pull. Now, all those are high frequency words. So you can use these as you can create flashcards, or you can, whatever strategy you can, what the children, especially in a foundation phase, love is you say, take the word off, you write off on the board, you ask them to write it in a yellow color. And then they write it, you ask them to write it in a green color, and then they write it in a green color. Now write it in a red color. Now you take all three colors and you try to write the same word again. So and high frequency words need to be repeated often because you want it to be automatic. They need to recognize that very rapidly. So if you can just page, I want to show you, I think it will be in this book. Now look at that. My grand is a. That whole sentence up to there is high frequency words. And there's only one word, which is fibber, which is a very low frequent word, not used very often in the children's books. But it's very good to introduce a word here and there because you want to stimulate their vocabulary, because there are three pillars to comprehension. The first and the biggest of all is vocabulary. Then it is a prior knowledge, and then it is metacognitive skills. So, and high frequency words is so important. So let's look at this. She is visiting my school to help out. That whole sentence is high frequency words. Do not tell fib. Gran, I insist. So fibs is a, remember that new word. Gran is a high frequency word. I is a high frequency word. And insist is quite a, it is a high frequency word, but not like an or an or that, but it is a high frequency word. So just look, if they can recognize the high frequency words rapidly, can you imagine how fluent they will read these texts and how the comprehension will be stimulated?
Absolutely. But I also find often at the clinic where we work that parents complain, but the child is able to read the words at home, and yet when he goes back to school, he's struggling, or he can read it on one page, and when we turn the page, it's not there. So what we would also like to incorporate is, yes, the flashcards is a beautiful way of automating it, but maybe close the pictures when your child are reading, because I think our children are very clever in memorizing and putting the text to the picture. And I don't know what you think, Debbie, but I would also recommend that if you really truly want to test whether your child is actually reading the word, is to maybe let your child read the sentence from back to front to ensure that.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to suggest that. And also, yeah, I wanted to say something now. Now I can't remember. I didn't want to stop you in your sentence.
But
now I forgot.
Let's open up maybe a more advanced book.
Yes.
Because we also work with older students who sometimes struggle to read. This is now not a subject-related book necessarily, but I want to show the participants that we have a magnifying option as well, especially mom and dad who has to sit so close to the screen at the moment. The KidBooks resource gives you that option to magnify it as well. So here we obviously have text that is more related to older students. If I've got a big discrepancy in my class between children who can read well and children who can't read that well yet, how would a teacher approach text like this?
I think that, you know what, if there's a problem, you have to go back to the basics. Start with a high frequency word. Start with the easy ones, because you want them to experience that success. You want them to feel, okay, but I can read, even if it is a more easier word to read. But you want them to experience that success. And then also now is where now you want to focus on the sight words. Now the sight words are usually the bold-faced words: mammals, habitat, climates, canid, primates. Those would be your sight words, and that's what you can create your sight words flashcards then. And teach that deliberately, like I told you. Show them the word, close your eyes. That is a multi-sensory kind of technique that you can use in a classroom very successfully. So identify which are your high frequency words and identify your sight words, and teach and train that to them. Drill those input to the children. This is what I wanted to say. Even the foundation phase learners, they rely heavily on visual memory as a learning technique. So, and that is why they have to read it either backwards or close the picture, because they remember what they saw and they make those associations. So that's what I wanted to say with the previous slide. But with this one, remember, don't make any assumptions when you're teaching older children. We make the assumption that the teacher of the previous year taught the high frequency words, and it's not necessarily the case. Or she did teach these high frequency words, but on that specific day or on that specific time or place, the child's concentration may be lacked, or the child was sick during that one, or didn't feel well, or emotionally unstable, whatever the case might be, but that teaching got behind. So never assume everything is okay. And remember, it's always a process. It's a process in progress. So you have to come alongside them and teach them and help them.
Yes, absolutely. And I think as teachers working with older students, we sometimes feel under pressure with the workload. And then we forget how important it is that children not only need to know the word mammals, but in order to go to the next level, they need to actually understand the word mammals. And that means they need to be able to explain it in their own words. So that's where vocabulary now comes into play. Yes. This was very, very insightful. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I'm actually very excited because your presentation really goes so hand in hand with what I want to share with you today. But before we get started, I would like us to just play a little video to introduce to you the EduBlocks program, and then we're going to conclude with the second half of our presentation tonight.
Hello everyone. EduBlocks is excited to be a part of this webinar, but you might be wondering who we are. EduBlocks bridges the gap between learning needs and academic success through integrative cognitive, literacy, and numeracy skills development, giving hope and peace of mind to families. We have over 35 years' experience in the educational field and offer services both online and in person at 40 outlets across Southern Africa. Our unique programs lay the cognitive building blocks of concentration, perception, memory, and logical thinking, which are essential to every child's academic journey.
Right. So thank you again, Debbie, for your insights that you shared with us today. You know me by now. My name is Monique, and I'm from EduBlocks, the Reading and Learning Clinic. I'm here based in Johannesburg. So tonight we looked at the difference between sight words and high frequency words, and I just want to shift our focus a little bit for the next 5 minutes or so to how the two terms play with each other, and then specifically I want to talk about reading fluency, how the term high frequency words and sight words lead up to fluency. Researchers in the UK have taken an important step towards understanding the human brain and how the human brain decodes letters on a page in order to read. And the work they are doing will help psychologists unravel the subtle thinking mechanisms that are involved in reading. It could actually provide a lot of solutions to help people who struggle to read with conditions such as dyslexia. So in order to read successfully, the readers not only have to identify the letters in the word, but also have to accurately code the position of those letters so that they can then distinguish between words like cat and act. I'm thinking of the words snack and snake, when and where. How the brain can make sense of some jumbled sequences of letters, but not others, that is the key question that psychologists need to answer in order to understand the code that the brain is using when they're reading. So what is reading fluency? Well, reading fluency is the ability to read like you would speak. Reading fluency is made up of at least 3 elements. Accurate reading of connected text in or at a conversational rate with the appropriate prosody or expression. And our non-fluent readers, which we identify very quickly in class, suffer from at least one of these aspects of reading. They might make many mistakes, read slowly, or they just don't read with the right expression or phrasing. As a teacher working with learners, we see that there is definitely a correlation between reading fluency and reading comprehension. So when a person attempts to speak a language in which you've not become automatically yet, you will necessarily have to divide your attention between the content of your message and the language itself. As English second language speaker, my English sometimes feels like airtime that just runs out along the way. But what it means is that the reader who's not able to read fluently, that reader is forced to apply all his concentration on decoding a word. So that means that he literally doesn't have any concentration left to focus on the meaning. But the readers who can read fluently, those are the readers who are able to focus their attention on meaning. Let's talk about us as adults. And I'm specifically referring to the adults who like reading, because let's be honest, some adults just don't like reading either. But those of us who like reading a storybook, we enjoy the act of reading because it doesn't take any effort, it doesn't take any energy. We actually read for relaxation. But imagine if you are struggling to read, then this supposedly passive activity of reading actually requires a lot of energy and hard work. Definitely not a relaxing activity. And that is why children who struggle to read don't want to read. Children need to develop a fluency in word recognition so that they can now concentrate on the meaning of text. In order to develop their word recognition, thereby improve their reading fluency, we need to recognize that the human learning process is a stratified process. And I'm going to use the analogy of playing ice hockey. Debbie was talking about playing a piano. Before one can play ice hockey, one must first master the very basic skill of being able to skate on ice. You need to master the skill of changing direction abruptly, stopping mid-slide. You need to automate all these basic skills before more advanced skills, like, for example, controlling a hockey stick and a puck can be expected. Now, if these skills have been automated and really been developed well and strong, then more advanced skills like shooting a goal can follow. So you can see that learning something is a layered process. And the same goes for learning how to read. There are certain basic skills that need to be strong and automated so that it's easier for this child to now learn new words, to identify them automatically, so that that can support his concentration and his focus on the meaning of text. And that's where EduBlocks comes in. EduBlocks clinics specialize in the developing of these foundational skills that supports word recognition. Foundational skills such as concentration, perceptual skills. I'm thinking of visual and auditory foreground, background differentiation, visual and auditory discrimination, memory. And there's more than just one type of memory. Logical thinking skills. The main objective at EduBlocks is to develop and practice these skills that underlie the reading comprehension and the reading fluency. So simply put, EduBlocks is a system of cognitive exercises that are aimed at building a solid foundation for learning. EduBlocks has got more than 40 franchises nationwide. They offer both online and physical intervention. And with the petrol price these days, I think online could just be a golden solution. EduBlocks is also the only program of its kind that can boast with a 96% confident referral rate. And from there, their logo, Successful Kids, Proud Families. We have a few minutes, like Chris said, after the webinar tonight, in which all the presenters will be available to answer any of your questions. But you can also contact the EduBlocks clinic closest to you. Their contact details are on our website, edublocks.co.za. So I'm concluding. Thank you, Debbie, for your insights tonight. Our next webinar is on the 5th of May. The topic will be on auditory memory and processing. So we hope that you will lend us your ear. It will be a short and insightful evening. I'm now super excited to hand over to Chris from KidBooks, who are going to share with you some of the amazing takeaways for this webinar. Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks, Monique. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks for the valuable insights and keen participation, guys. I get this feeling that many or most of us are going to be watching this recording repeatedly after tonight. I've learned an incredible amount, and I think everyone else has probably. And I trust you've all enjoyed this session. And I do note that many of you have made comments in the chat box that you're enjoying the session, and I see the questions are starting to come through now, and that you may be concerned that you've missed the first two. Don't worry. I mentioned at the start that these sessions are available on our QualiBooks website. The details have been posted in the chat box, and I think we'll probably drop them in again. So don't worry. If you have any hassles afterwards, you can email any of us, and we will lead you to the webinars. They are all going to be available, so you don't have to worry. You can watch them at your leisure when you get a bit of time. As mentioned by Monique, now it's time to go to what is on offer tonight, because you're not going away empty-handed. We thank you for your support. It's wonderful to have everybody sharing with us tonight. And first off, EduBlocks. EduBlocks is offering a discount of up to 30% on both its on-site and online products as on display currently. The discount code is indicated in the top left of the screen, and it's available to all first-time clients until the 13th of May, 2022. So this, together with their contact details, it is included, and it will also be placed once again in the chat box for your ease of reference. So have a look at it, screenshot it, and take advantage of what is on offer. Dr. Debbie, she set up a web page, and the link to it has also been placed in the chat box for your reference. She mentioned it in her session earlier on. So click on the link where you can claim your free gift of reading comprehension story cards. These cards will help you teach comprehension strategies in a fun way, and it's based on the 4 comprehension processes of the Pearl surveys, as well as other cognitive models. Subscribe to a list and get your free gift and gain access to more information like it. Again, all of this information is going to be on the chat box, so don't worry. If you can't find it later on, send us an email, and we'll help you out. And last but not least, kibooks.online is also going to be making available a free subscription to the Kibooks platform, valid until the 4th of May 2022. That's the day before the next session. So you can enjoy it, and you'll enable your children, and I suppose some of you will give it to your grandchildren and your friends and whatever else. It doesn't matter. If we get our kids reading, we're happy. Let them explore, read, and have fun with the platform. You simply go to www.kibooks.online and enter the following user details as shown on the screen currently. Again, I encourage you to take a screenshot. It will be placed in the chat box for your ease of reference. Again, this information is available in the box. So make yourself or take advantage of everything that's on offer there. It can only add value to your child's reading experience, so we highly encourage it. Well, folks, that's a wrap. So let's get on out of here and get our youngsters reading. And just a reminder, as Monique alluded to, before we sign out, our panelists are going to remain online tonight for the next few minutes to respond to any additional questions that you may have relating to this evening session. So please get your questions in. All the contact information is in the chat box. And as Monique mentioned, our next session is on Thursday, the 5th of May, same time, same place. And it's all about the other hardware component, the ears. So lend them to us, and we look forward to seeing you then. Until next month, thanks for joining us, and have a wonderful evening further. Good night.
Thank you, Chris. I think I'm going to get started with the questions. We've got a few that were posted in the chat box. So Debbie, maybe between the two of us, we can answer some of these the questions. I've got one here from Lily that was specifically focused on isiZulu and how to teach high frequency words and sight words. Just your comments maybe from your side, Debbie. It's a different language. For me, it feels as if I want to say it's the method that you use. If you can ride a bicycle, you'll be able to ride any color bicycle. What would your feedback be?
Yes, absolutely. I would identify the words that are mostly used in that specific passage. And you know what's a good thing is to take a few passages and texts and put it alongside each other and just circle with a red pen or highlight or whatever method you choose, and see which ones are repeated in those texts and use those as high frequency words. I'm not familiar with the African languages. I do not know whether there are high frequency word lists. I know even in Afrikaans we struggle to get these lists. The one that we do have is very outdated, so nobody is using it anymore. So we are using our own. Like I said, you have to put the text next to each other and identify the words that are used most often in those specific texts.
Right. And then I've got a question here from Julia that says, why do children make up words that are not in the text that they are reading? Would it be because they learned the text instead of understanding it? Debbie, just before I go to you, because I know you are going to add a lot of information, I would like to add something from a practical side. At EduBlocks, we do very specific exercises to develop cognitive skills. And one of the cognitive skills that we develop is form perception. So if we look at the word snack and we look at the word snake, two words that could actually have been the same word, the difference is so small. And if the child's cognitive skills, their form perceptual skills are not strong and fit, the brain literally gives the child the first and the best word that he knows. And often it's the word that the child is most familiar with. And time again, we see that the moment we start developing those skills and we literally making the brain more sensitive for small changes, the child starts making less mistakes and self-correcting themselves much easier. Anything you would like to add to that, Debbie?
Yes, I fully agree with what you've said. I just also want to add that, you know, you get this bottom-up and top-down reading processes that the children use. And it's actually very clever of them because they're trying to think what word will fit in this specific context. So it is actually a good thing because they're taking initiative and they are intelligent enough to actually make the assumption and see and infer which word should actually fit that text. but it is wrong. They need to decode the word to get to the correct meaning, choose the word that the author chose in that specific text. So it is just, it can either be what you've said, but also just the way that they actually just process the information. And it will become better when they get older. Remember, it's a process in progress.
A process and a lot of repetition.
Absolutely.
We sometimes think just repeating it once or twice is enough. Our program director actually says it needs to happen like learning a piece of music. You need to overlearn it.
Yes.
Before you stop. Then we've got another question from Sean. I don't know if he's still with us, but he wanted to ask, what is the first step to take in order to assist the older learners to read with more fluency?
You know what? I always say go back to the basics. If you think about the chassis of a car, the perceptual skills and what Monique and EduBlocks is focusing on is that chassis of the car. If the chassis of the car is not in place, you cannot add the skill, you cannot add the reading. It is difficult to add the reading comprehension. So get that chassis in place. That is perceptual skills, those are cognitive skills, those are the phonetic skills. I even take grade 10 and 11 students back to the phonics, and I get them, I call it finger tap. If I say tree, spell tree, T-R-E. Can you feel the sounds? Can you hear the sounds? So take them back to the perceptual skills, take them back to the skills which EduBlocks is focusing on, and then from there, you can move forward.
Yes. I want to add to that, and I want to say something that I think our children are lacking is a good vocabulary. I can sing Nkosi Sikelele fluently, believe it or not. I've got no idea what I'm singing. Our children also use words and they've got no idea what the meaning of those words are. So maybe we need to take a step back and say, let's improve our children's vocabulary, what they hear and what they use, because that's going to influence their reading fluency and eventually their comprehension. And comprehension is going to be a topic that's going to be addressed in one of the next few webinars, which I'm excited about.
I have a full mouthful to say, a whole mouthful to say about this. And I can keep you busy. The children need to hear the sounds before they can speak the sound or write the sound. So the phonics is very important. And then reading aloud to a child, especially during the younger ages, can influence their scholastic performance with at least 3 to 12 months. It puts them 3 to 12 months in advance to their peers, which means that they can perform 6 months and older on their scholastic performance better than the Mikey next door. Just because you're reading aloud to these children. Why? You are building their vocabulary. Vocabulary is the single most important aspect of reading comprehension. If you can stimulate reading comprehension, reading vocabulary, you will stimulate their reading comprehension, will just excel. It's just
absolutely
how it is.
Debbie, I think we've answered most of the questions that I saw there. Just for those of you who are still joined in or linked in, if you've got any other questions, you're more than welcome to email Debbie. She shared her contact details with you. You're also welcome to email myself. But in that, Chris, I think we are going to wrap up.
Monique, I'm happy with that. I think that's been a lot of questions answered. I'm very grateful for all the support that we've been having. I just have to mention one thing. I've just received an email from Namibia, from someone who was watching remotely on a guest farm. They're still stuck in doing homeschooling now as a result, sort of at the back end of COVID. Very interested in what's on offer, so I'll be chatting with them off air a little bit later. So just so that we know, we are reaching across the border as well, and it's very exciting. So these are special times, and thank you for everyone's contributions. Deborah, yourself, Monique, yourself. It's special, and long may this continue, and that people collaborate, talk more about this, because what we are trying to do here is to add value to the reading and learning experience of our children, and this is one of the best ways of doing it. So thank you very much for all your hard work and your dedication. It's a lot of commitment, and hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys must have a lovely evening. Keep well.
Same here. Thank you so much, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.